Hey you, and welcome. In this video, we will learn about classes in JavaScript. So far, we have been writing objects using object literal pattern in JavaScript. However, we will run into problems when we try to duplicate those objects. So let me show you what I mean. In my code that I wrote in the previous video, if I was to create another bottle, the only way for me to do that is to copy paste my code on a new line, rename the variable name to bottle2, and that should just work fine. That's my another object. However, later in the future, if I was to add another key to the first object to say I will now have a style of bottle, in this case is a sports style, if I was to make that change, my bottle 1 and bottle 2 look very different from each other. They're not the same object anymore. And the reason why is because the style is missing from that. So another way would be I just add style to every other bottle that I create, but that's not scalable, and that's redundant code that we don't have to write. That's where classes come in handy. So I'll go ahead and delete the code that I wrote, the bottle2 code. And let's delete all these console logs as well. Let's keep it clean. All right, perfect. Using this bottle object, I'm going to create a new class called bottle. In order to write class in JavaScript, we have to start by the keyword class, and then the name of the class usually starts with the uppercase, bottle, like so, and then curly braces. That starts a class for me. In order to work with the class in JavaScript, I have to instantiate it. Instantiation just means we have to use the word keyword new and then the name of the class. So let me show you what I mean by that. I will assign a const bottle2 to a new bottle and call it using parentheses. So just like a function, we're calling this bottle and we're using the word keyword new, that instantiates a class for us. And what does this look like? So if I console log bottle2 now, you can see that it says bottle in the beginning. That means it knows it's a type of class bottle. And in the curlies, there's no values. So the values that are missing, I could start writing those out. I can say size equals to 12. And notice that different from object, in the object size :8. And let's do the same thing here. Size :8 was the colon separator, whereas size equals to 8 is a different way of writing in the object. So that's the difference between a class and an object syntax. Remember that when you're writing the properties, we're using equals, we're not using colons anymore. And you can see on the console log, size 8 shows up, and I can access that using the same way as the object where bottle2.size will give me the size of the property. However, if I was to create another bottle 3, I don't have an option to change the size. What if this bottle is a different size? That's where the constructor method comes in handy. I'll delete this code and I'll delete the property as well. And I will start by writing constructor. A constructor is a static method in the class. And this constructor method will be called as soon as you call the new bottle. So when you say new bottle, constructor method will be called, and then you have to assign that some properties. So in this case, constructor method, parentheses, and then curlies, just like a function we did in the previous one where we had function, parentheses, curlies, just like that, a constructor is a function. Instead, we don't have to say function in the beginning of it. All right, in this constructor, I can assign properties out. So in this case, I'll say size will be equals to something that will be passed by the person who's calling the new bottle, and then it will be passed down as a parameter, and a parameter would be new size. New size, not new user, new size. Perfect. And that should assign it to the size. However, in the bottle, I have to make sure that I'm assigning the key to itself. So that means we have to use the keyword this. This.size would give me access to size property that we will assign in the bottle object, right? So that would give me the size. Now I can go into new bottle and say the size would be 8 for this one. And you can see the bottle2 size is 8. However, if I was to instantiate another one, bottle3, and the size will be 12, do the copy paste for the console log and access bottle3, the size is now 12. So that's how we can create blueprint for our classes. Now let me copy paste a bunch of code here. I'll take away the ID, color, all of that, and replace that with equals to. This is a good practice to see how the syntax will be different. Even if when we copy paste, we have to do a little bit of refactor. Semicolon. We're not using commas anymore. We're using semicolons. We don't really need semicolons, but that's how it's going to work. ID is not defined. Oh yeah, So we have to use this keyword. Remember, in the object we didn't have to, but in the classes we do. So this.id will assign it to the property of the object. And now I will accept new size, new ID, new color, and I'll assign it to their respective property types. So in this case, new color, new size. And remember, I'm not putting new and a space size, anything like that. New is a keyword in JavaScript. If I did that, I'm going to be instantiating an object. So remember, keep them together and then camel case the variable names. Great. With that done, I am still seeing the size is the same, but I can start providing it new information like size is this, ID is number 1, color is black. And then for here under color, I can see that it does show the color is black for this bottle. So that's how we create blueprints. I can also take the function change size and bring that over. See how that's different in classes. I don't have to use the function keyword anymore. I don't have to use the colon anymore. And I don't have to use a comma at the end of the curly. Rest looks just fine. So if I was to use this right now for bottle 2, let's access bottle 2 size throughout, so 8 and 8, and in between those console logs I will say bottle 2 dot change size to 12, and there we go. So speaking of classes in JavaScript, JavaScript also has a documentation for all the built-in objects that come with JavaScript runtime, and there's extensive list of that right on the MDN. You can search for global standard objects of JavaScript, and the MDN documentation has a list of them. We work with a few of them. In this case, I want to work with the date object and see how we can utilize that in our code. So let's go back to my code. I want to introduce a new property type in my bottle object. It will be called date acquired. So I'll say this dot date acquired. It will be equals to new date acquired. There we are. And then I'll have to pass it to the object. And in this case, the date will be March 22nd, 2023. That's just how the JavaScript formats the dates, and I can bring that in and start utilizing my new class that I know about from the MDN documentation called date. In order to do so, I have to convert the string. This is passing a string. I have to convert that into the object calling new date and passing that the new date acquired param into the object. So that means I'm instantiating a date object with the parameter March 22nd, 2023 string. And when it's converted, I can do some things with it. For example, I can get the date in a different format. So I can do console log bottle2 dot date or date acquired like that. And you can see how it shows with the complete format in the time as well. Time is of course 00. I didn't set the time, I just set the date. It tells me the day as well, day of the week. And I can say get month. So it gives me the month, which is going to be 2nd. So actually it starts with the 0 index. So 0 is January, and then 1 would be February, and then 2 would be March. And that's how it works with that. Same thing with hours, I believe. And but I'm not going to be working with hours here. Get year or get full year, sure, one of those. So yeah, that you can work with the date object that is built into JavaScript. There are many other objects that we're going to be working with in the later videos. I'll see you all in the next video.